With the election just 5 days away, President Trump and Joe Biden are both hitting the campaign trail in Tampa as the fight for Florida intensifies. The president is trying to close the gender gap, but a new CNN poll shows him trailing Joe Biden among white women voters by 9 points. A voting bloc that he won in his upset victory back in 2016. Matt Bennett is co-founder of Third Way and a former Clinton White House deputy assistant. Lauren Claffey Tomlinson is former deputy assistant secretary for strategic communications and public affairs at DHS. Thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it. You can clearly see by that CNN poll the president seems to be struggling a bit with white women. CNN goes on to write the following here. You see it there, Joe Biden up by 9 points. They write the following: in yet another unforced era at a time when former Vice President Joe Biden is crushing Trump among female voters, the president told the women of Lansing, Michigan this week to re-elect him because, quote, we're getting your husbands back to work. Lauren, this is a very important voting bloc for the president.
Yeah, it's been a very important voting bloc for Republicans for, honestly, like the past 70 years. And Republicans have generally done really well with white women. What we see with President Trump is Trump still does really well with white women without college degrees, which is very similar to what we see with male voters without college degrees. Where he's losing gain is some of the suburban women and women with college degrees. And I think he really is going to have to step up his messaging here, because appealing to women and saying that we're going to put their husbands back to work is probably not the right message, especially when you have an administration who put out paid family leave for the federal government for finally. They went out and have explored or given block grants to the states for childcare for low income. So they've made some gains that really would impact women's lives, but they're not communicating it.
She talks about messaging there, Matt. The president comes back saying, look, he thinks he's going to do very well with women because he believes they're for safety, for security, and for law and order. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this has been the central theme of the campaign since the summer. We saw that at the Republican convention when you had those gun-wielding couple from St. Louis somehow trying to communicate to the women of the suburbs that Cory Booker was coming to kill them. It's a ridiculous idea. The biggest problem he has is not just his sexism, as was on display in Lansing, but his response to COVID. What women are responding to is the fact that we have 80,000 cases a day. We have 1,000 people a day dying of COVID, and he is still denying that it's a problem. He's still saying we've rounded the corner, that we've got it under control, and they know that just isn't true. And they can tell in every possible way. They may have lost somebody or have gotten sick themselves or a family member, or their kids are home from school trying to learn remotely, or they're out of a job. In every possible family in America is impacted by this, and that's why he's hurting so badly.
And in fairness, I don't think he's declaring that it's a problem. He's not saying that COVID is not a problem. I think he's saying that he believes that we're going to get the upper hand on this and round the corner. I want to move on if I can here, Lauren, because switching up the Wall Street Journal op-ed, Karl Rove says Biden talks a lot about unity, right? Talking a lot about unity, but not about policy. Writing, when Mr. Biden, unity is based on only one thing: removing Mr. Trump from office. That may well be enough to get the former vice president into the Oval Office. We'll know soon enough, but it's unlikely to make his time there successful. Platitudes and vague incantations have their place in campaigns, but presidents pay the price. What do you think?
I agree with Karl Rove. I mean, Joe Biden's strategy this entire time has been just to be the opposite of Trump, just to not be Trump. It is a referendum on Trump. And so he really hasn't been out there touting some of the very detailed policy plans that he put out there. For example, his tax plan, his support for the Green New Deal, and his climate change plans. A lot of things that he's kind of either walked back or given very vague answers, including the court packing answer. And so if he is elected, all of a sudden he is going to have to answer to not only his Democratic base that is going to be demanding radical change, but also to the Republicans that he's been trying to woo by not giving them specific policy initiatives and what he's going to do as president. And I think that's going to be a really big problem for him, because at some point he can't just not be Trump. He has to be Joe Biden.
And it seems to be a fair assessment, Matt, because you hear a lot of political analysts saying that, Democrats are not voting for Joe Biden. They're voting against Donald Trump. Your final thoughts?
Look, this is a referendum election, without question. People are voting on whether or not they think that Donald Trump is a good president. But I will say this, only one candidate in the race has a plan for health care, and it's Joe Biden. Only one candidate in the race has a plan to deal with climate change or to build the economy back. When asked about it by friendly interviewers, including on Fox, the president has time and again declined to say what he would do in a second term, whereas Biden has a detailed set of plans. So I think Rove is totally wrong.
Boy, I haven't seen that detailed set of plans yet. Talk about very much. Lauren, Matt, great to see you both. Great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.